But are you comfortable having the United States target a boat in which you have not seen evidence that it's actually heading to the United States, that it's an imminent threat?
Any boat loaded with drugs that is crewed by associates and members of foreign terrorist organizations that are trying to kill American kids, I think is a valid target. I'm not just comfortable with it, I want to continue it.
That's Senator Tom Cotton absolutely dismantling NBC host and crazy-eyed reporter Kristen Welker's weak attempt at a gotcha question, making it clear he's not just okay with hitting drug-running narco-terrorist boats, he wants to escalate the pressure because they're killing American kids. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and it looks like Democrats and establishment media hacks have found their newest martyr, cartel smugglers trying to flip a sinking drug boat so they can keep poisoning Americans. Because every time these stories break, the left defends the criminals and shrugs at the victims. You know, it's the same pattern we saw when Trump went after MS-13 gang members. I mean, Cotton is one of the few people spelling out the real stakes here. Here he is explaining exactly what happened on the boat establishment media hacks are suddenly pretending to care about.
They weren't incapacitated, and yet Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington, the ranking member on the House Armed Services Committee, saw this very differently. He saw that video. He said, quote, "It looks like two classically shipwrecked people." Other lawmakers who saw the video said the two men appeared to raise their arms, potentially to signal that they were trying to surrender. Senator, why did Admiral Bradley interpret those actions as anything other than these two men trying to seek help and survive?
Well, again, they were sitting or standing on top of a capsized boat. They weren't floating helplessly in the water. And Kristen, I don't think it matters all that much what they were trying to do. It looked at one point like they were trying to flip the boat back over, presumably to rescue its cargo and continue their mission.
Or to stay afloat,
maybe they were signaling to other airplanes or drug cartel boats because they're in waters that are just off drug cartel areas. At one point, the guy takes off his T-shirt. Maybe he's trying to get a suntan. It doesn't really matter what they were trying to do. What matters is that they were not in a shipwrecked state, distressed, dog paddling in the water at all. And therefore, that boat, its cargo, and those drug traffickers remained valid targets. And I think what the Democrats object to here is not the second strike, it's the first strike and every other strike.
And we are
all these. Well, what President Trump is trying to do and what I support is to protect Americans from these drugs, especially kids. Again, we've had hundreds of thousands of Americans die of drug overdoses in recent years. And it's been proven that the best way to have a large-scale effect on these drug traffickers is to destroy these boats. Interdiction is very dangerous for our sailors or for our Coast Guardsmen. It's time-consuming, and it's clear over the years that it simply doesn't have the kind of impact that blowing up these boats do. Right now, there's been a significant decrease in drugs trafficked into our country, and I bet there's a significant decrease in the number of cartel members who are willing to get on these boats. We are going to the source where we have large-scale boats that are trafficking hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of drugs that could kill thousands of Americans, hundreds of Arkansans a year. It is a highly effective and efficient way to stop these drugs from reaching our shores.
You know, these were foreign terrorist organization traffickers hauling cartel poison into our country, and intel confirmed the boat was loaded. I mean, watching Welker pretend these men were shipwrecked victims is the exact media sleight of hand people rejected years ago. These guys were trying to flip the boat to salvage the fentanyl or signal accomplices. And with 105,000 overdose deaths in 2023 and 69% tied to synthetic opioids, decisive force isn't controversial, it's necessary.
So what the Washington Post said last week was a complete lie. They owe an apology to Pete Hegseth, and especially they owe an apology to Admiral Mitch Bradley. He is a highly decorated career Navy SEAL.
Well, the Washington Post reported there was a second strike, which at first the administration seemed to deny. Let me ask you this specific question. Would it be legal for police in Arkansas to kill suspected drug dealers on a boat in an overturned lake?
Well, John, let me go back to the premise of your question. The Washington Post reported that Pete Hegseth had given an unlawful order of no quarter or no one left alive or kill them all. Pete Hegseth denied that last week, and it didn't deny that there was a second strike. Mitch Bradley and Dan Kane both flatly denied that yesterday as well, which some of the Democrats who watched that video and got those briefings confirmed. So that's what the Washington Post reported. That is a total and complete lie. They were not distressed. One guy took his t-shirt off like he was sunbathing. They were trying to get the boat back up and to continue their mission of spreading these drugs all across America.
Did they get the boat back up?
That's what they were doing, and that's why Admiral Bradley ordered the second strike. Well, no, they didn't, because we killed them, and we were right to kill them, and Admiral Bradley was totally justified in a decision he made. A decision, by the way, that was broadcast on multiple secure screens at the Pentagon and Fort Bragg, and that hundreds of people watched in real time with probably dozens of JAG lawyers.
Cotton's absolutely right. The only reason these traffickers didn't regroup, flip that wreck, and push more poison into American towns is because our military didn't give them the chance. You know, Democrats treat this like a humanitarian cruise mishap, while families bury loved ones every single week from drug deaths tied to these cartels. Here's Joe Borelli exposing the entire game to a dismayed panel of liberal shills on CNN.
Were shipwrecked, essentially, after the boat was capsized. They tried to turn over the boat that was still floating, perhaps to survive, and then they were bombed again. How is that an attempt to get back into the fight?
I don't know, and let me just start by saying I don't care, not one bit. Genuinely and wholly do not care about these two men in the boat. We're talking about two people who were clinging to life. How about the thousands of Americans every month that are on the floor in some bathroom clinging to life because of overdoses from drugs that these people brought? These guys are not good guys, but this basically follows the typical Democratic fact pattern. It starts with a fake news story about Pete Hegseth that gets disproven, right? He didn't actually order them to kill everyone. That's been sort of taken back. And then it goes into the part where Democrats defend the bad guys at the expense of law enforcement and now the American military. This is kind of standard Democratic operations. And if you ask me, I give more of a crap about the Americans who are losing their life every single year to drug overdose than two jerks floating on a boat trying to flip it back over or whatever. It doesn't matter.
You know, Democrats flip the script every time by defending criminals over law enforcement and the military, just like they did with MS-13 before the truth steamrolled them. I mean, overdose numbers in states like Pennsylvania and North Carolina tell the real story. This stuff is wiping out communities while liberals run PR campaigns for traffickers and downplay the amount pouring in. I mean, let's not forget when CNN and Democrats were acting like it was insane for Trump to care about this stuff coming in from Canada during tariff negotiations. It's clear that they don't care about the people affected by it. And they certainly aren't willing to do anything about it if it means sacrificing their own comfort or admitting Trump is right. But let me know what you think. Should America escalate the crackdown on narco-terrorist boats instead of letting Democrats and establishment media cry over cartel operatives? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.